Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Roar podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by my co-hosts Sal Zavala and Fidel Fabian. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Amazing.
Well, good to hear, good to hear. Well, to kick off everything, just a little news flash for people. We're not really going to have the opportunity to discuss on it, but we're hours away from one of the biggest races of the year, the 24-hour of Le Mans. Big race coming up. Me and Fabian are going to be staying up throughout the night watching it, starting at midnight for Pacific, so 3 a.m. Eastern. So literally in 12 hours from now, since it's 3 p.m. right now for me, at least. Pretty interesting, to say the least. So we'll have something up on the website, an article of ongoing news. With that being said, for Le Mans week, we've had car reveals, the BMW hypercar being revealed, the new Cadillac hypercar being revealed, and Ferrari teasing that they will be entering the hypercar field next year. So, big things on the way for endurance racing. But to get into the discussion part of everything, let's talk about Detroit for the IndyCar race last week. Sal, we'll kick off with you. How did you feel about the race?
I thought it was pretty solid. This is the first actual year that I'm actually trying to keep up with all the IndyCar stuff, and I know had a nice little story there at the end with the winner. Thought it was pretty good, pretty solid. We rated out of 10.
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay. Fabian, what about you?
I think it was a pretty good race. Not really a lot of action on the track, but that's what IndyCar races are for. Unlike NASCAR, it's more of a strategy game than a try to survive game. So it was a really good redemption story for Will Power, especially after last year overheating the engine under the red flag, and seeing him being so angry at the fact that happened. I just feel like it just wrapped the bow on a good old present win for him.
And then out of 10, what would you rate it?
I give it a 6.5.
6.5. Okay. So some understandable ratings regarding it. And yeah, as you two both said, and as the article said on our site, that, this was redemption story. I think he was my pick to win last week when we made our predictions for it. I said he was going to get redemption, which he did do. But Penske definitely showed its dominance across the board. We'll get to that in NASCAR momentarily. But yeah, Power winning that race, starting low down the grid, like, what was it, 14th or something? Working his way through. I mean, it just shows once again, yeah, as Fabian said, the strategy games that you kind of have to play in IndyCar. But I'd honestly have to say probably a 7. I'm gonna give the highest rating out of us three, so we all move up 0.5. But yeah, it's just your stereotypical IndyCar race. I think that's the best way to put it. It's just gonna be green to the end, who plays the best strategy and who has the fastest car at the end of the day basically gets it done.
Right.
And moving us forward with this, I'll let you guys talk about it because I personally didn't watch it. The truck race at Gateway. We'll start off with you, Sal. Sal, how did you feel?
Oh, I thought it was a normal Gateway race for the trucks. And then, of course, it being trucks, it couldn't finish scheduled distance. Had to have that overtime finish. But pretty good race. I mean, we had before that last restart, they did have that caution with a couple laps to go, so brought in a little entertainment there at the end. Pulling for Kraus, I feel like whenever he does have the trucks to win, something happens, but truck just looked like it wasn't handling as well there at the end. I'd give it about a 6.2 out of 10.
Mhm. Fabian, what about you?
Yeah, it was just a regular truck race up until the end. I was really pulling for Kraus right there. I was kind of hoping he would win, but Lady Luck isn't fair to everyone. And uh, who was it? Zane Smith just had a better truck. Was it not Zane Smith?
No, I was
No.
saying oh because Tim joined and then left.
Ah,
No, but you
so
were
yeah.
right.
All right. So Zane Smith taking the lead and was pulling away until that late race caution. And then it turns into your typical NASCAR truck race where everyone's scrambling for positions, even if it means taking out someone. And with ending with a bizarre injury for Carson Hocevar, where he's hit driver's side, where you think where his left leg would have been injured, end up being his right ankle. And for some fans, the AMR safety team was a bit too slow to get to him. But from seeing the AMR viewpoint, they really couldn't tell if he was hurt or not because he had his window net down just like everyone else. So AMR thought he was fine at the time, but once he got to him and he was screaming in pain, that's when they knew, yeah, he ain't all right.
And what would you rate the race?
Good 7 out of 10.
Mhm. Well, I feel like I do have to touch on that regarding the Hocevar thing when it came to the AMR safety team. Yeah, a lot of the fans kind of not necessarily. How would I put this? Bashing in a sense on the AMR safety team. I mean, we had the same situation in the Coke 600 with Chris Buescher, where fans were complaining that they weren't rushing him out of the car, and same thing with Hocevar. They weren't rushing him out of the car, but if you once they finally got up to him and realized he was in pain, they were trying to talk him through it, figure out what really was going on, where he was in pain, and so forth. And, they're not just going to rip some guy out of the car that's screaming in pain because you could make that injury worse. And I feel like you two can agree with me on that.
Right.
That
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a situation where they have to do their job. They've done all the training, and you've got fans at home that watch, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's that shouldn't be the case. They should have gotten him out of the car." Probably the safest environment for him at that given time was sitting still in that car and not moving. Then they eventually got him out, and they were talking to him the entire time. It's not like they weren't. They were going to make sure he was fine to at least get helped out of the car. And, here he is this weekend racing at Sonoma, and then they've got Suarez on standby, which, we'll get into when we get into predictions for Sonoma. But I just don't understand the hate for the safety teams. It seems like we always get something like this each year in at least one of the big motorsports where the safety teams just get, trashed on. And it doesn't make sense to me.
I think it's trashed on for at least a good reason. Everyone wants the drivers to be safe by the end of the race. And I think it's a good thing that the fans are concerned about driver safety. Because I remember there was a time where sometimes fans would even wish on a Northern Star for a driver to at least get injured just because they didn't like them.
Yeah, and I mean, you see stuff now where we still have those fans, especially in NASCAR, that want the crashes to happen and will go to these races or watch them on TV and I hope a wreck happens, and I don't understand that. It's sure
Yeah.
you can say, oh, I want the drivers to be okay, but you can't say you want one of these big vicious crashes to happen and say, oh, I hope they're all fine, because that's not logical. I would say Carson Hocevar's crash wasn't even, was nowhere near the amount of, what Chris Buescher's crash was 2 weeks ago. And Chris Buescher didn't get injured. Carson Hocevar did. And sure, it was, just an ankle, but it could have been a lot worse. It's still an injury regardless.
I think a lot of the time, fans just, I think we've become too immune. Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, or at least in NASCAR, the last fatal crash was the '01 500.
I believe so.
Correct.
And I think just the way safety's gone the last couple years, like how it's improved ever since then, we just become immune to the fact, as fans, that even if it's just like a little pound in the wall, that these, I mean, there are actual people in there, and these hits do hurt. And I think that's just a lot of the reasoning why people most of the time, like, they'll see a wreck, they'll be like, oh yeah, that guy's fine. And then we have cases like in the 2020 Daytona 500 where it takes forever, in that case, for Ryan Newman to come out, and we just kind of snap back into reality. Like, these are, like, it's dangerous. I mean, it's racing, and racing is dangerous. And I just think that we've become too accustomed to the fact of, oh, big wreck happens, it's okay, they'll get right out.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what's got the divider between NASCAR fans and, fans of IndyCar, F1, or endurance, MotoGP, stuff like that. Because NASCAR is built off the background of, contact. When you go into the open wheel scene or something along those lines, you see they frown upon contact. They'll penalize you for contact. And,
Yeah.
we have incidents like 2011 Las Vegas and IndyCar, for example. I'd consider that IndyCar's last fatality. I'm not considering Justin Wilson's that, solely because that could have happened at any track and the circumstances were so odd. But IndyCar did a great job of implementing the aero screen to help prevent something like what happened to Justin Wilson happening again. But as for, the terms of racing, people were like, oh yeah, I want to see these big crashes. 15-car pileup at Vegas, and IndyCar promises, oh yeah, we'll never have racing like this again in our sport. And there's a reason why the drivers got mad in a race that fans consider one of the best IndyCar races of all time, being, 2015 Fontana, that Graham Rahal won. People consider that like one of the best races, but the drivers all hated that.
Yeah.
Because they were promised the racing would never be like that again. And there's a reason IndyCar changed the package after that. And then you look at F1, you saw all the stuff going on last season with Verstappen and Hamilton, how they were just wrecking each other almost each week, bumping into each other. And most fans didn't like that. And because that's what their sport's built upon, no contact, they don't want that type of racing. They want that clean, hard racing, pushing each other to the limits, run each other for room without making that contact, because they view that as what makes a skilled driver, rather than going into NASCAR and saying you can go spin someone out for a win and come home a champion type deal. But it's just a weird thing when it comes to that. And then thankfully safety is the way it is in all these sports, because then you have, like, Verstappen at Silverstone last year with that massive crash. Then you have a bunch of IndyCar wrecks last year, this year, that have been pretty bad, where it's like, how is someone going to walk away from that? I think it was Rosenquist last year that went into a barrier at Detroit at like full speed. Everyone questioned how the hell did he get out of that? It's stuff like that. And, thankfully, we're at a time where these sports are a lot safer than they used to be. And they continue to push the boundary of 100%, no fatalities. I don't know if you guys have anything else to touch on that, but...
Mm-mm.
No, not really.
All right. Well, Portland, the exciting race that was. Sal, you can give us a jump into that.
Oh man, that was intense. Pretty cool to see AJ and Collie get the win, especially given everything AJ had to overcome for that. I mean, spinning out before they even took the green, and then I think he was a lap down the first stage.
I think he was either a lap down or close to.
Yeah, and just come back. That guy went on. I mean, he's one of the best road racers out there. But I mean, other than that, pretty normal kind of road course. Um, Pretty cool seeing the like smaller teams like Jordan Anderson racing with Myatt Snyder up there for win stage 2, finish second. That was cool for them. Um, yeah, give it about 7 out of 10.
All right. What about you, Fabian?
To describe that race would be like a dumpster fire thrown into a night sky and blew up into a firework. Because you had great racing, but also weird and wacky crashes that you typically don't see at other tracks. Like Jesse Iwuji spinning out Ty Gibbs under caution Ty Gibbs was in the lead. That's something I haven't seen in a long time. Usually that's something you see in like a league race on Heat 5. But it also had its good moments where the racing was really well. I honestly thought Jade Buford was going to win at one point, but unfortunately his car just died. But in overall, I give the race an 8 out of 10.
All right. Well, I mean, as Sal said, I was happy to see our guys at Colleague and then AJ Allmendinger win. But especially after what he had to go through, I was starting to think Patrick's bold prediction with Landon Castle was was about to follow through, because he was up there all race, and as both of you said, with the underdog teams doing well, like we saw Myatt Snyder, we saw just a bunch of these guys that you normally don't see up front, whether that's due to equipment given to them or whatnot. It was a good race. And then we saw that weird thing with Ty Gibbs and Jesse Iwuji. We saw people running each other off the track in the grass, spinning each other out. And I don't know. I feel like this is a race, this is a track that deserves to be on the schedule next season. I just feel like the circumstances, given that it was a rain race, made it a lot more different than it would have been had it been dry. But for me, I'd probably rate it 8 out of 10. And with that, we move forward to Gateway Cup. So, where does that leave you guys? Sal?
I mean, I think that race had it all. I think the length was perfect of the race. I know lately that's become a pretty hot topic with either shortening the races or stuff like that. Some races are too long, some races are too short. I thought this one was perfect. You had a couple comers and goers there, because I mean, honestly, at the beginning of the race, I would not have picked Joey Logano to win that race. But then you had Chastain out there being aggressive, just the way he's basically come up the ranks. I mean, he's known for being aggressive and doing whatever it is he needs to do in order to move forward. But yeah, I'm excited. I believe they are going back. I saw somewhere they are going back next year, which doesn't surprise me. I think I know the area, just based off of what people have said and put out there on like Twitter, stuff like that. That St. Louis did a great job at promoting the event. It really looked like that was the place to be Sunday. So yeah, just excited for them to get back there next year, and pretty solid overall event. I'd give it a 7.4 out of 10.
All right. Fabian?
Gateway was a lot of things, especially with Ross Chastain almost running over half the field. But at least he owned up to it at the end. I feel like the short track package needs some tweaking, especially at tracks like Martinsville and Gateway, because as well as the race went on, throughout its green flag runs, the racing was subpar. It, the cars need a bit more acceleration or just more speed off the corners, because the drivers were complaining all weekend that it would be a miracle to even pass during the race. But thankfully for Ross Chastain's shenanigans and some weird tire blows, because Goodyear making a good tire would be like Danica Patrick getting a NASCAR Cup win. It's never going to happen. I give the race a 8.5 out of 10. Sucks to see Kyle Busch lose another race because of a late race caution. But overall, I thought it was great.
Well, there you go. For me, I didn't get the chance to really see it besides Logano winning and apparently Ross Chastain being public enemy number one, and then Justin Marks getting into drama on Twitter with, I believe it was Denny Hamlin. But I don't know. It's really proving a point, though. I feel like a lot of people can say that Chastain has been very aggressive this year. And sure, he's gotten, 2 wins this season. He's been one of the top guys all year long. It's a weird point that he's in if he's being this aggressive, because people are going to look at it as, you've got to earn the respect. And sure, he's got 2 wins. Sure, it seems like he's earned that respect, or he should have earned that respect by now. But I get where Denny's coming from. I get where Ross is coming from. It's just a weird situation when it comes to that. But I mean, that brings us into our next topic, talking about Trackhouse. Obviously, they were a brand new team last year with Daniel Suarez. This year, they announced midway through last season that they were buying out Chip Ganassi Racing. They were going to get a second car for 2022, which ended up being Ross Chastain moving over from CGR brand to Trackhouse. Now, we've seen they have been a dominant duo, especially with Chastain with the 2 wins, as I've mentioned. What do you guys think is with Trackhouse's future, let alone with this season? Are they going to be a team like, to stay in the sport long enough to be something like Hendrick or a Roush, or are they something that's going to be here for a few years and, this is their prime year starting now?
I think they will surpass what Chip Ganassi Racing has put down. Chip Ganassi Racing, throughout its NASCAR career, it was there. You had, I think, in my opinion, Larson was the best driver for Chip. But without Larson, Chip Ganassi would have been almost nothing, because McMurray had a great 2010 season, but after that, he was just very inconsistent, and 2013 was his last year getting a win. Ever since then, like, the best he's done was get second place at Martinsville in late 2015. So, how Trackhouse is doing, especially with Suarez, was being a bit slower than Chastain this season. Is still performing well. I think they have a big future ahead of them, especially with the backing they have with sponsorship and Pitbull basically being their boss. That's just revenue coming easy. That's just a money cheat code right there. Other than that, I got nothing. They've planned themselves perfectly in the NASCAR world.
Sal?
Yeah, I think they're I mean, last year I feel like people weren't expecting much of them, and I mean, I don't think they expected many. Like, I don't think Marks came out saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win like 3 races." I think it was more of just like let's see what we can do. And knowing that this year they'd get the leveled playing field with the new car, that this would start being the year where, I mean, they got the win with Chastain, and Daniels had a couple good runs here and there. But I mean, I do think that this team can be a team where in the coming years they're up there with the big names week in, week out. I don't think this year's just a fluke by any means. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what else Justin Marks can do, because I mean he's come out. I mean, he came out saying when they got Ross Chastain that one of the things that led him to get him, and one of the exciting things, is that he didn't have funding. So with that being said, I mean, maybe they can bring in more talented drivers that maybe don't have the funding of these big sponsors and all that, and give him a shot just to prove if he or she can go out there and perform with the best of the best, because I mean they're clearly a winning organization, and it's just, I think it's going to be just fun to see what they can do here in the future.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's a weird thing to look at right now, though, because obviously with the next gen, it even the playing field for. Is that who just joined? Is that Stotts?
Thoughts.
All right. Well, Stotts, if you're gonna join mid conversation, then you know what, you're gonna get thrown right into the pit. Stotts, give us your opinions on Trackhouse right now and in the future.
I mean, they in good hands, but they about to get ruined. Denny Hamlin about to own them, bro.
Oh,
Like Justin Marks, I'm gonna be real, bro. Justin Marks needs to not talk, because the more he talks, the more he's throwing his own team under fire. Because my man said, "I'm here for battle, bro. You here for battle, homie? You about to get knocked, bro. Bro." I'm like, honestly, bro. Like, what is you doing, bro? Like, keep your mouth to yourself, bro. You trying to get your cars wrecked? Chastain even trying to get wrecked, homie. He said he deserved it. The driver of it said he deserved it. Quit trying to back cause problems.
I was not expecting that. Okay, yeah, I can agree with
Wait,
that.
were we talking about the team? Wait.
Yeah, we're talking about the team right now and going towards the future. If they could ever be something like a Roush or a Hendrick, or if that's still something to build towards.
Oh, we were talking about that.
Uh-oh.
Well, if the owner can do his part and count his chickens correctly, then yes, he can be able to.
Okay, that was something.
Christ.
Okay.
That was like the Undertaker coming out of nowhere.
I mean, yeah, I can agree. Justin Marks' little Twitter war with Denny Hamlin was something else. I feel like Justin has to be put in a perspective where Denny probably has a lot of backing when it comes to things more than Justin Marks. And sure, what happened at Gateway is what happened at Gateway. Ross owned up to it. And it's just a weird spot. That's the easiest way to describe it. I think what Justin's doing for the team is great. Obviously, they're a title contender, I'd say, this year. They're tied for most wins. Do I think they win the title this year? No. Do I think they win it down the road? Maybe in the next 2 or 3 years. But I think it's still trying to figure out what they have to work with. And I feel like they've got the base, they just need to build it up more than what it currently is. Which is basically saying they can be a powerhouse team down the road. But with me saying Justin Marks is doing the right things, that throws us right into the next point of conversation. F1 champion Kimi Räikkönen is coming back to NASCAR, making his Cup Series debut at Watkins Glen Ford Trackhouse in the Project 91 experiment. So the 91 car for Trackhouse. How do you guys feel about this? Sal, we're going to start with you.
I think this is awesome. I mean, I like this team is awesome. I don't know how else to put it. Something like that. And then with them saying that this is specifically to try and get more international drivers into it, I think it just kind of opens the door. And I mean, who knows who they bring in next? I think it's gonna be I don't think the car is gonna be as competitive as, like, let's say Chastain's or Suarez, but I mean, just the fact that they're able to have an option out there with this third car. And I mean, who I haven't heard anyone else like rumored to be in it for other races or anything like that. But I'm just excited to see who else they throw in there. And I mean, maybe Montoya comes back or something. I don't know. But that'd be awesome.
All right. Fabian?
I think the open wheel raid from 2008 starts back up again with Kimi Räikkönen. Bringing Kimi Räikkönen back into the sport just opens Pandora's box to a whole lot more drivers into the sport. Like, think about it. Now that they're bringing international drivers, they can bring in drivers from Formula One, WEC, WRC, supercars, BTCC, literally anyone. Imagine Fernando Alonso in the Cup Series, or Lewis Hamilton, or Kamui Kobayashi. It could literally be anybody.
I mean, you're not
I
wrong.
only call like 2 names for that. Don't know who that last guy was, but that's a long name.
All right. Well, you did not just disrespect an endurance legend, but anyway, go. He is definitely a fan favorite in endurance.
Does his name endurance run endurance as well? Because that shit's long as fuck. Oh, I mean that name long. That name long. That name long.
No, that's unfair. That's unfair.
I meant to ask, are we allowed to cuss?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, I should have.
I am gonna
Open my mouth and say what I said.
we're gonna get that cartoon frying pan for me, and we're gonna take care of business outside of the call. But thoughts? What's your view on Project 91?
I love it. I really think it's a cool thing. I like the idea. That's one thing I'll give Justin Marks his credit for. As an owner, it's cool to definitely get other drivers and other people from different areas in racing, whether you get them from F1 or Rallycross or whatever this guy said, WTCC, whatever it was. It's cool though. It truly is cool because you get different names and familiar names from other series into the spotlight of NASCAR who can really provide a positive output, a positive look on the sport, and really bring fans from those other sports into this. So it's almost like a promotion, or is that what you call it, a promotion? Whatever, you know what
Maybe.
I mean. I had a brain fart. It's been a long day.
Fair. Well, I mean, having Kimi back in NASCAR is interesting. He did the truck start, the Xfinity start, now doing a Cup start. So as
was he even good? That's all I know.
I mean, I can't really say yes, but no. What do you expect someone with years of open wheel experience to do in NASCAR?
Oh, then wait, he did that on he did his on an oval.
He did it at Charlotte.
Okay, I cut some slack.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it was for Kyle Busch too. I think I don't know who his Xfinity start was for. Maybe it was for Kyle, but I know his truck start was. But having him back for Watkins Glen, I think is cool. I feel like as Fabian said, opens the door for people all across the globe across multiple variations of motorsport to kind of come in, see what it's like. So, I mean, maybe this is something big down the road. Maybe, it turns out to be a project to see, okay, who can we put in this car full time? Who does the best out of all of them? And it starts with Kimi. So, I think it's cool. Project 91, it's cool to see that announced. So, I'm interested to see what it does with Kimi first off, but also going into next year.
Oh, can I add on to that real quick?
What?
Earlier, I think it was earlier today, Lando Norris talked about wanting to do stock car racing.
Oh.
He did mention that earlier. Just wanted to bring that up. I thought it'd be really cool to bring up.
Interesting.
Mention that.
And everyone was wanting Daniel Ricciardo. So we're getting one of the McLaren drivers, probably. But to keep it on, since you mentioned F1, I guess that really brings us to our next topic. Predictions for Baku. We'll start with you, Sal.
Oh man. I'll tell you what, if the weekend goes as good as that first practice when I got my boy Checo taking the points lead this weekend.
Ain't no way.
No. I can agree with that one. People have done the math. If Perez wasn't asked to let Max go in Spain, Max leads by 1 over Perez after Monaco. So I can agree with Sal on that. I think Perez he may not take the points lead, but I see him winning. But Fabian, what about you?
I see Verstappen picking up where he left off last season. That blown tire last year must have hurt him deep inside, because he was leading. He had a good lead. He was dominating the race until I ran him tire blow because Pirelli and their incompetence with making a good tire yet again.
So what you're saying is just essentially every or at least F1 and NASCAR just have tire problems out the rear.
Yeah, I barely see any tire punctures in IMSA or WEC. Hell, even WRC, and WRC just goes to every single third world country in the world. IndyCar has, I think, in my opinion, the best tires because, let's be honest, when was the last time you seen a tire blow on a green flag run without any contact?
Fair enough. Well, Stotts, what about you? Who's your pick?
Charles, bro. What y'all smoking, bro?
Good old Chuck Leclerc.
I mean, just as a whole with Ferrari, if Sainz learns how to not wreck a car and qualifying or practice, they can easily get a 1-2 basically every week, in my opinion. But I mean, I just think when I look at the straightaway speed, I truly think for some reason, what's their name? Oh my God, Ferrari. Sorry, Ferrari. I think they're really. This is their place, bro. I think this is their place. I think they're gonna get an easy 1-2, but with Leclerc on top because Sainz can't play. Is there an issue?
No, I'm just clearing my throat.
Okay. We're about to have a fight. Well, that brings us to Road America IndyCar predictions. Sal, who you got?
I got Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon, okay. Fabian? Oh. Uh-oh. I've been disconnected from the call. Hold on. I gotta pause the recording. Alright, continue where we left off.
I said I think Team Penske picks up where they left off last weekend, and Joseph Newgarden wins at Road America.
Okay. Stotts?
Well, I just want to flex right here. I'm pretty sure I chose Joseph Newgarden to win last weekend, and I was right. Just wanted to point that out.
You were right?
So
Willpower one, bud.
Yeah, Willpower one. Wrong Penske driver.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Newgarden started on pole.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I chose pole sitters and they didn't win. That's okay.
Oh
Well,
my.
you know what, bro? I'm gonna just, you know what? I'm gonna take a gamble here, man. Now, y'all might think this is a silly pick.
Oh,
You might
jeez.
think this is a silly pick.
Oh, boy.
But I got that boy. Got that boy Graham Rahal. I've got that gut feeling. He's a Road America enjoyer.
I mean, I can't disagree. Ray Hall's a wild card. He
And
he has that random moment where he just pulls a win out. So, especially in recent years, he'll just grab a win. So, can't disagree with that. But I will say this, Matthew, you are uneducated.
explain.
You okay? First, you don't know Kobayashi, and now you don't
that's-
even know who won the IndyCar race.
Listen, man, I was flip flopping like I do in bed, bro.
Ah!
So that's you pronounce
No.
archive as archive.
Oh
Or
no, we don't need to
archive.
get in this. We don't need to get in this.
Fidel,
We don't need.
Fidel,
No,
bro.
no. BRP's about to
When
go
your
R-rated.
forehead
I'm
size
pausing
is
this
written
recording. Okay. Well, now that that's settled, I think my prediction is it's gonna be like Fabian's. Penske's gonna pick up where they left off from last week, but Will Power's gonna extend that point lead and go back-to-back race wins this season. So, can you really argue with that? No.
Sure.
No. Sonoma Trucks predictions, guys. Sal?
John Hunter Nemechek, just because why not?
Okay.
Wow.
Fabian?
Call me biased,
Oh,
but I
jeez.
think Kyle Busch gets the win at Sonoma.
Oh, boy.
Reason why is that he has more experience at that track than half the drivers in the truck series.
Okay.
And
Oh,
what his performance at Coda kind of shows his road course skill in the truck series. So if he has better luck at Sonoma than he did at Coda, I think he can get it this time.
Okay. Stotts?
I got Alex Bowman. No need to explain. Pretty obvious.
Okay. Well, currently, I'm assuming this is practice is on right now. Looking at the charts. Suarez is currently set a lap, it seems like. He's currently in 7th. But looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and say Matt DiBenedetto.
I knew it!
He's only put 6 laps in. He's got the least amount of laps in the top 16. And he's only 0.3 off Eckes right now. So, with that being said, I think Matt DiBenedetto finally gets that National Series win. And it's going to be at a road course. At a home track, nonetheless. So if you wanna fight Stotts over that, then we can. But it's not my fault that it's not my fault. And that brings us to Cup. Who do you guys think wins Cup? Sal, starting with you.
Chase Elliott.
Okay. Fabian?
I think a Colic car wins at Sonoma.
Haley
Which
or
one?
Allmendinger?
I think we all know the answer.
All right, he chose Justin Haley.
Yep, Justin Haley's the pick. Yep, yeah, Justin Haley's locking himself in the playoffs, guys. All right, that's Fabian's pick and final. Stotts, what about you?
I'm actually going Kevin Harvick here. This is the old layout we talking about.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely in Kevin Harvick's wheelhouse, especially back in, 2017, where him and Moyer got the 1-2 for Stuart Haas Racing. I personally think this is a Kevin Harvick beatdown.
I disagree.
Oh, here we go.
He's not going to get his one win a year type deal like it's been the past 3. Kurt Busch is going to win at Sonoma again.
When he won it last time?
2011?
2011.
22?
Yeah.
So,
excuse me. Apologize.
But yeah, I see Kurt Busch. I see Kurt Busch winning this weekend. He's going to get 2 wins this season. He's going to keep going towards the playoffs with momentum. So
That's good, man.
take it as you wish.
That's a good pick. I'll give you that's a good pick.
Okay. Well, that's fair. With that, I think that wraps it up. What do you guys? Do you guys have anything else?
I think we can call it a day right there.
I enjoyed my 20 minutes.
Okay.
I think
It's been less than 20 minutes.
Shut up, bro.
Sal?
No, I think that's it.
Well, I'll leave the floor to Matthew to say something real quick.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I apologize for whatever comments I could have made about the flopping in bed joke.
And
what?
Kobayashi.
What was that? What did I say wrong about that? I'm actually curious. What did I say?
Okay, hold on. All right. Well, I mean, what can you do? I don't know. I'm gonna go get my cartoon frying pan. Be prepared to meet Matthew. And with that being said, thank you all for joining us this week. We'll see you guys next week, kicking off with the interview with Brittany Zamora on Wednesday is when it will be uploaded. So we'll see you then. We'll have another one out next week regarding predictions, reviews, and any sort of other news along the lines. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by Fidel Fabian, Matthew Stotts, Sal Zavala. See you guys next week.
See ya.